Good morning, everyone. Very happy to have you here. It's an exciting day. It's beautiful outside. And my name is Derek Dutka. I'm co-hosting with Chelsea Chartrand, my business partner. And we've got a wonderful guest today, Julie Henry. We help you with your financial health, but she does wonders with your physical health. She's an avid health buff, has been into the homeopathy for over 20 years. And has gotten numerous certificates, diplomas, degrees in the science, and believes that your body is meant to heal itself. But when it gets off course, it gets a little bit out of balance, it just needs a little tweaking to get back into balance and it will heal itself. So using natural remedies, basically the only side effects are you're healthy and you're happy. And so that's wonderful news. And I will have her taking over shortly, but Chelsea's going to go over a little bit of the housekeeping rules.
Yes, thank you, Derek. Hello, I'm Chelsea, as Derek mentioned. Just a couple housekeeping items to keep in mind. So number one, your videos should be off. I see that one of them is on, so I'll be turning that off now. And then please also keep yourself muted so we don't have any kind of background noise throughout the webinar. We will be recording this presentation, so if you have to hop off early for any reason, we will be recording it and posting it on our social media and YouTube pages in a few days' time. And lastly, for questions, if you come up with any questions as we are doing the presentation, please keep them to the end and use the chat box on Zoom to enter any questions that you have, and Julie will be happy to answer them at the end, or you can even book a meeting with her outside of this webinar to discuss anything further. So without further ado, actually, sorry, one more thing. We have a disclaimer here that I'm just going to quickly read. So this presentation was prepared by Julie Henry and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of Asante Financial Management Limited. The opinions expressed are based on the author's analysis and interpretation dating from the date of publication and are subject to change without notice. Furthermore, they do not constitute an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any of the securities mentioned. The information contained herein may not apply to all types of investors. Before acting on the information presented, please seek professional advice based on your personal circumstances. So now I'm going to hand over the presentation to Julie, and she is going to share her screen.
Okay, great. Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Chelsea.
You are welcome.
Okay, perfect. Here we go. All right, you guys can see the slides?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, great. So I just want to thank everybody for coming. I know things are busy and it's taking some time out of your day, so I appreciate that. And hopefully by the end of today's presentation, you have a really good introduction and understanding of the basics of homeopathic medicine, a little bit of the history and how it works, and even a few remedies that I'm going to teach you at the end that you could use at home for some common ailments. So we'll get started. So why choose homeopathy? So there are tons of great reasons, but here's a few of my favorite. It's the fastest growing medicine in the world. It is the second most widely used system of medicine in the world. It's extremely safe. There are no side effects or interactions with other things that you might be taking. It's effective. I certainly wouldn't be still practicing 25 years later if I wasn't having some positive results and people weren't feeling better. So I've seen amazing things, and it really works well. And it's natural. All of the substances that we use as homeopathic remedies are made from nature, plant, animal, mineral, so everything from nature. And it's a wonderful complement to conventional medicine. It's not instead of, but it can be used along with. Oh, you know what? Somebody's waiting to get in. I'm going to let them in. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. Okay, so a little bit of history. This is Samuel Hahnemann. He was the founder of homeopathy. And in the late 1700s, he was practicing as a medical physician. And he was really discouraged with his practice at the time. And, you know, looking back then, it was things like bloodletting and leeching, and the idea that the disease was in your body and you needed to purge it out. So many people avoided going to the doctor, and some of the treatments were quite barbaric. So he was fluent in 12 different languages. And he decided to quit medicine and to translate medical textbooks in order to support his family. He had a background in chemistry and was fluent in all these languages, and thought, I'll just translate books instead of practicing medicine. So he was translating a particular materia medica, and it said that quinine, which we still use today to treat malaria, that's extracted from a particular tree bark, works to treat malaria because it was an astringent. So with his chemistry background, he knew that there are many substances that are astringents, but they don't work to treat malaria. So that reasoning, or that idea didn't work for him. So he decided to experiment on himself to try and understand why the quinine from the bark would work to treat malaria. So this was the first homeopathic proving, and that's what we call finding out what a medicine can do for someone who is not well. So Hahnemann started eating the cinchona bark, and after several days, he began to experience the symptoms of malaria. He would have fevers intermittently, he would have chills, nausea, vomiting, and when he stopped eating the bark, the symptoms went away. And he started eating it again, and the symptoms came back. So this was how he came upon the first principle of homeopathy: like cures like. And in Latin, it's similia similibus currentur. So something that causes symptoms in a healthy person can cure those same symptoms in someone who is ill. And that is the entire basis of homeopathy. That's the scientific principle that it's based on. And Hahnemann went on in his lifetime to do hundreds more experiments on himself, and with small groups of interested physicians who wanted to find out more and more about this principle. So some examples so we can kind of understand what this means. So we have a homeopathic remedy called coffea, and it's made from the coffee bean. So what happens when someone drinks too much coffee? So typical symptoms: sleeplessness, you can feel jittery, you can feel a little bit hyper, you can have a lack of focus, you can be really kind of loud and obnoxious. So the homeopathic remedy coffea we use to treat things like ADHD, insomnia, restlessness, nervousness. So the types of symptoms that you would feel from drinking too much coffee can be the types of symptoms that we would use the remedy coffea to treat. And I'll give another example. So apis is a remedy made from the bee. So if you're stung by a bee, typically redness, swelling, stinging, itching, might be burning, feels better when you put cold on it typically. And so apis, the remedy, can be used to treat allergic reactions like hives, where you have a red raised bump that is itchy. It's a similar reaction. Can also be used to treat a sore throat. So it doesn't have to be an exact match, and that's where the similus, the like, it doesn't have to be exact. If you come in complaining of a sore throat and I look in your throat and the pain is stinging and the throat looks shiny, red, and swollen, then that symptom picture also matches, and apis could be the remedy for your sore throat. Oops, okay. Somebody else wants in, so just 1 second. Oh, it's not letting me. Sorry, guys. I'm not able to. There we go. Admit. Okay, I've let them in. Okay, perfect. Okay, so some examples of this in conventional medicine. Curare is a drug that can kill and paralyze. It kills by paralyzing your system. But in lower doses, it's actually a muscle relaxant. So we see that two sides. Atropine in high doses will dilute the pupils, but in lower doses, it constricts the pupils. And digitalis is a common heart remedy that speeds or slows the heartbeat, depending on whether it's given in high or low doses. So the law of similars, again, is giving a medicine whose symptoms match the symptoms that the patient is experiencing, and this will stimulate the body to heal itself. In homeopathy, the medicine does not do the healing, but rather it stimulates your own body to heal. So in homeopathy, we feel that symptoms are a sign that the body's out of balance or mistuned, and the body's energy isn't working as it should to keep everything running smoothly. Normally, digestive system runs well, you sleep easily, your energy levels are good. But if any of those things are disrupted, it's a sign that your body's energy is out of balance. So we pay really close attention to your symptoms. The homeopathic remedy is then an energetic stimulus or a message to your body's energy to push it back into balance. And then your body just goes ahead and does the healing on its own. Our body always wants to be balanced, but any kind of stress or illness or exposure to different things can cause that imbalance to arise. And then your body gets kind of stuck. And when it's trying to get better, it's putting out symptoms. So by understanding those symptoms and listening to them and giving the appropriate stimulus, your body can get back into balance and then do the healing all on its own. So Samuel Hahnemann was not the first to come up with this idea in the 1700s. Hippocrates, from 460 to 350 BC, one of the founders of medicine, modern medicine, said, by similar things, a disease is produced, and through the application of the like, it is cured. So he had this same idea, but didn't go ahead and experiment the way Hahnemann did. And Aristotle, the same. Often the simile acts upon the simile. And natural cure by the likes was said by Galen, a Greek physician. And sames must be cured by sames. So this idea has come up over and over in our history, but Hahnemann was the first one to actually put it into practice and create an entire system of medicine around it. So the medicine is chosen based on the law of similars, like we spoke about, and it works by stimulating the vital force to become balanced again. When the vital force is balanced and strong, the body can heal itself. Like cures like. So what is this vital force? And that's kind of hard to wrap your head around because we can't see it, we don't measure it, and we don't, until very recently, we didn't talk about energy or that our body is composed of energy or we have an energy field or that human beings are energetic beings. So it's known, you may have heard prana, which they talk about in yoga, or chi, which they talk about in Chinese medicine. Whatever you want to call it, it's the energy that keeps your body running smoothly. And when it gets depleted or disrupted, your body will exhibit symptoms. And these are the signs that your body needs help. So symptoms to us are so important because they're exactly your body's request for help, and we want to match it as exactly as we can. So we spend a lot of time with symptoms. Homeopaths see disease as a distunement of this vital force. The vital force is out of tune and it's asking for help. Symptoms are an expression of the distuned vital force, so they must be paid very close attention to. While your MD might ask you 3 or 4 questions about your symptoms, the homeopath is likely to ask 15 or more. We go into great detail, and sometimes for a patient, it's the first time they've been asked these kinds of questions, and they may not feel as equipped to answer them. But when you work with a homeopath, you start to become very aware of your body, of your symptoms, and you become really good at describing what's going on. So while there might be 10 drugs used to treat a particular illness in conventional or allopathic medicine, there are likely 300 or more in homeopathy. So that's why we spend so much time particularly interested in your symptoms and exactly what they're like. So the homeopathic remedies, these are substances from nature that have been diluted and succussed, which is a form of vigorous shaking, thousands of times until only the energy of the substance remains. And Hahnemann called this process potentization. And it's where we lose a lot of people because there's no substance in the remedies that we use, but there is energy in the substances that we use. And we can see this when we treat infants or animals who don't know they're being treated, and they have a good response. So a lot of people will say homeopathy is just placebo because there's no substance left in the medicine that we're giving. But we have lots of evidence to show that the energy that is left is actually very powerful and has wonderful healing results. The second principle of homeopathy, so the first similars treat like with like, the second being single remedy. So we only prescribe one medicine at a time. Often at the doctor, you get 2 or 3 things. Each drug is for a particular symptom or for a particular part of your body. And even going to see a naturopath who also uses natural substances, but they will tend to use a lot of vitamins, herbs, minerals, diet changes, and you may get a variety of things from them. With the homeopath, typically you get one single remedy that is for your whole system, because we've looked at all of your symptoms and we have this beautiful picture of how your body is out of balance, and we want to match it to a single medicine that has a very similar picture to yours. And you can see on the screen here the little pellets. The homeopathic remedy is always made in a liquid and then sprayed onto sugar pellets. And so it's easy to take. You dissolve the sugar pellets under your tongue. And depending on the complaint, it might be once or several times a day. But it's typically just one medicine to cover everything about you. Yeah, so, and we want to know the body's response to that particular medicine. So if we gave several medicines, we don't know what's doing what. So we really want to just focus on one single medicine and then observe how your body responds to that medicine. You can find combination remedies in health food stores, but homeopaths work to find an exact match to your symptoms. What they've done with a combination remedy, the company has chosen the top 4 or 5 remedies for that complaint. For example, acne or menstrual cramps or injury. And they've put those remedies together, hoping that the one you need is in the combination and that you'll feel relief when you take the remedy. But unfortunately, a lot of times, if that's someone's first exposure to homeopathy, they try the remedy that says acne, and the remedy that they need for their acne is not in that combination, and nothing happens. Certainly safe to try, which is wonderful. But if the remedy that you need is not in the combination, then you're not going to have any results, which is unfortunate. So combination remedies might be close, but they're often not right, and that's why they have no healing effect. They haven't been chosen specifically for you. So the third principle of homeopathy is minimum dose, and that refers to the potentization process, the fact that we've diluted the remedy hundreds and even thousands of times, but also repetition of the dose is infrequent. We want to give the least amount of remedy that your body needs in order to stimulate the healing to happen. So while a drug is often taken on a daily basis, a homeopathic remedy is given once and then only repeated when necessary. We wait and see how your body responds. If it has a nice healing reaction, we want to wait and let that healing reaction unfold and not give the remedy until you actually need it again. So in acute situations, if you've just had an injury or a burn, you might need to repeat the remedy more frequently, every 5 or 10 minutes, because the state of the patient is more intense and extreme. But in chronic complaints, it's really given quite infrequently. So the homeopath uses the least amount of energetic stimulus that's needed to facilitate the cure. And Hahnemann used poisonous substances like arsenic and mercury, and he discovered that they had very powerful healing effects. And through the potentization, their toxic effects were eliminated. So we're able to use poisonous substances in homeopathy because they've been so diluted none of the actual substance is left. And what is left is an energetic push to your body that can heal things that substances like mercury and arsenic could cause. Arsenic is quite deadly. And a lot of people who have food poisoning feel like they're dying and they're suffering with vomiting and diarrhea at the same time. And as soon as I hear a patient say, I think I'm dying, arsenicum is probably the remedy they need. And it can turn around food poisoning in minutes. It's amazing. And mercury as well, very intense symptoms, more on the nervous system, and has a very deep healing effect when the symptoms match. And safe to use, of course. There's total safety in using homeopathic remedy. No matter what the state of health of the person, they don't interact with conventional drugs or herbs. And the homeopathic remedies are working on the energetic plane, while drugs, vitamins, and herbs work on the physical plane. So there's absolutely no interaction. They're just not even crossing paths, and they're safe to use together. So if this has piqued your interest, then I'm going to teach you about some homeopathic remedies that would be available at your local health food store. And they can be used when you have an issue at home that's fairly simple. So Arnica montana is the first one. It's made from this daisy that grows in the mountains, and it's our #1 remedy for injury. It's best for injury to soft tissue, so things like a bruise, but it'll also help to speed the healing of broken bones. So if somebody has broken something and they're put in a cast, one of my patients, then I always give them arnica to take. And the doctors are always amazed at how fast, what a speedy healer you are. So it cuts the healing time because it has stimulated your body to do more healing than it would just on its own. And also if you bang yourself or fall, if you take the arnica right away, you'll notice you don't get a bruise. It doesn't even come to that. Your body, you won't get swelling. It's quite amazing. If it's later, several days later, maybe you didn't notice that you banged yourself, but now you see a bump and a bruise and you think, oh yeah, I hit myself. You can take the arnica and it will clear that much faster than your body would clear it on its own. This is also a really important remedy for before and after surgery because it can help prevent infection, it'll help decrease swelling, and it will speed healing. So all of my patients would take arnica before and after surgery to have a better outcome. So as soon after the injury as you can, you place 2 pellets of the arnica. 200 C is the strength of the remedy, which we're going to talk about a little bit more. That's how many times it's been diluted, so 200 times, under your tongue and allow them to dissolve. You repeat as needed depending on the severity of the injury. So I fell just a few weeks ago and onto my knee and sort of my elbow and my shoulder. My knee was skinned right off. So it all hurt, kind of ached. And I got home and took Arnica 200 and was just resting with my leg up, and I could feel tingling in all those areas. When I paid attention, I could feel. And then when that stopped and it started to throb and ache again, I took 2 more pellets. And I probably took maybe 7 doses before I went to bed. And when I woke up in the morning, there was no swelling, no bruising, no pain, just a scab, and that was it. So I still get amazed by what remedies can do. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to walk the next day. So the remedy helps prevent bruising and swelling, as well as minimizing pain and speeding the healing process. And I definitely saw that in action. Okay, another great remedy, which we've touched on, is arsenicum album, and that's made from arsenic, and it's an excellent remedy for food poisoning or flu if you have vomiting and diarrhea at the same time. And typically the patient is feeling restless, anxious, and chilly, and they have a fear that they're going to die. That's how it's so severe that's how they feel. And if you see that picture of symptoms, then arsenicum would be the first remedy to try. Belladonna is another really important homeopathic remedy made from this beautiful flower that's from the Solanaceae family for all the gardeners out there. It's great for high fevers, and so you'll see glassy eyes, dilated pupils, and sometimes maybe even hallucinations. This would typically be seen in children, not so much in adults. Um, it's good for anything that's red, hot, and dry. So sunburns respond beautifully to belladonna. And if you've been out in the sun and you anticipate getting a burn, you can take the belladonna as soon as you come in from the sun, and it can prevent the burn from coming up. But belladonna in general is useful when the main symptoms are heat and redness, and pain is usually throbbing. So you can try it in cases of a throbbing headache when the person's face becomes red and hot during the headache. That is a typical belladonna headache. And the next remedy we also touched on, Apis mellifica, made from the honeybee. Excellent remedy for allergic reactions like hives. So if hives pop up on your skin, you can take a couple of pellets of Apis, and usually the first thing that happens is the itching subsides or the stinging, and then the bump will go down. It's also a wonderful remedy for eliminating the effects of insect bites and stings. If I've been out and stung by mosquitoes, as soon as I get home, I take Apis, and often the next day there is no remnant. There's not even the bump left, which is great. So the symptoms of Apis are redness, burning pain, and feeling better for cold applications. And typically the patient feels irritable and restless during these symptoms. Gelsemium, this pretty yellow flower, is a great remedy for flu. Now, this flu is totally different than the arsenicum flu. In a gelsemium flu, the person is drowsy. They feel like they can hardly keep their eyes open. They're limp, they're dull, they're exhausted. So usually lying on the couch and don't want to move. And they have shivering up and down their spine and aching in the muscles with a heaviness of the head and eyes. And in comparison, the belladonna fever is very lively and hot and wide-eyed. And the fever in gelsemium causes the child to go limp and motionless with their fever. So you can see how we have one word for an illness, but it can look very different in different people and therefore require a different remedy. And Rus toxicodendron is a remedy made from poison oak. And so, if you touch the poison oak plant, you can break out in these blisters that are quite painful. So Rus tox is one of our first remedies to try in chickenpox because it looks very similar to a poison oak type exposure. But it's also one of our #1 remedies for sprains and strains. So the key symptom of Rus tox is stiffness, and they feel stiff when they first start to move, and then as they move more, it gets better. We kind of call it the rusty hinge syndrome. So first movement, you think, oh my goodness, I'm not gonna be able to do this. You take a few steps and you feel better. And that's very typical of Rus tox. The pain is usually around the joint, and it tends to be achy, sore, and bruised. So a good one to have on hand for those joint injuries or strains. Nux vomica, which is also known, goes under the name colubrina, is another plant remedy. And it's excellent, probably needed it this past weekend, Thanksgiving, for the effects of overindulgence in rich foods, especially, or alcohol. So a great remedy to help clear your digestive system really fast and make you feel better after you've overdone it. And the patient tends to feel bloated, to be irritable, feel a little bit tense, often chilly, and they feel better from vomiting, but often find it difficult to do so. So that feeling like, oh, if I could only vomit, but I can't. And there can be a lot of belching, flatulence, and abdominal pain. It's also a really good remedy for colic in babies. So important one to have on hand around the holidays, I find. And the last one is calendula, made from the marigold flower. And it's an amazing remedy for scrapes and any kind of skin abrasion. It's good for diaper rash when the skin looks raw or as if it was scraped. And it's great to speed the healing of cuts. It can be used topically as a liquid extract or a balm to help heal and soothe rough, dry, or injured skin. So a good one to keep in mind. And that is everything for my presentation today. Thanks again for joining me, and I'm really happy to answer any questions if any questions came up.
Thanks, Julie. There were actually quite a few questions submitted upon registration. So we'll get started with those. And while we're doing those, anyone that's attending the webinar, feel free to type any additional questions into the chat box on Zoom. So the first question we had here is, how do I improve balance and circulation?
Okay, so there isn't anything in particular I can tell you, but if you came to a homeopath or went to see a homeopath, they would spend about an hour and a half with you, going over everything about you, specifically what's bothering you, so your balance and your circulation, any symptoms that you have around that. So with balance, sometimes you feel better when you're lying down and worse when you're standing, or walking is when you feel your worst. So we would want to understand all of the aspects around those complaints, and then choose a homeopathic remedy that matches your picture, and then see how it works for you. See if your body starts to eliminate those symptoms as you start to feel better.
Have you had any success in treating Alzheimer's or dementia?
I have. I haven't had very many cases, but I have a patient currently who's actually doing quite well. Some memory has returned, and a lot less confusion, a lot more. He had kind of withdrawn into himself, and he's become much more social again. So yes, I think it's a slower, longer process to treat something like that. They say that when you experience dementia, your symptoms actually started 30 years, or the process of decline started 30 years previously. So I do find it's a slow process, but I have had some beautiful results. Yeah.
Is there a remedy for cataracts to prevent eye surgery?
I have never been able to prevent. Once they're there, they're there. But undergoing homeopathic treatment is stimulating your body to be healthy on all levels. So I'm interested to see if patients that I treated as children, would they be as prone to having it? Today, almost everyone develops cataracts. And with the people that I've been treating their whole lives, will they develop cataracts? Once the cataract is there, I can't really clear it or develop it, or stop it from needing surgery, unfortunately. But there are homeopathic remedies for in the early stages to help stop it in its tracks. But we often don't know it's there until it's a later stage. So it's tricky, but always something we can try for that. Yeah.
Okay. What about treatment for a fatty liver?
Yes, liver is extremely prone to healing itself already on its own. And so giving it that extra stimulus, the liver responds beautifully. There's actually a liver formula called Chelidonium Plex that's made by the company Unda. And I often use that in conjunction with a good homeopathic remedy if the liver seems to be particularly problematic, whether it's fatty or the enzymes are up or something like that. So yes, the liver responds beautifully.
Is there a remedy to increase circulation in our feet?
There is, yeah. Yeah, I have a beautiful story about that. One of my patients in his 70s was scheduled to go to have his foot amputated because his circulation was so bad. He'd had the vein replaced a couple of times, but was having no feeling and a lot of pain. And he came to see me because his daughter had come to see me. And he said, "Is there anything you can do?" And I said, "I have no idea. It sounds like it's pretty advanced, but we'll try." So I think it was about a month before his surgery was scheduled. And I took the whole case and got all of his symptoms and gave him a remedy. And he went for his surgery, and the doctor examined him and said, and the pain went away quite quickly after I started treating him, but I still didn't know what was going to be happening with the circulation. And the doctor said, "We don't have to amputate this. What have you been doing?" And we were all very, very happy. So he still has his foot. I saw his wife last week. I now treat her for something else. And homeopathy was all that we did. We just gave a good matching remedy, and his body probably, I can imagine, sparked new avenues to flow the blood in order to help heal that. So yeah, that's one of my most surprising cases for sure.
Awesome. So we know that there's not really a remedy for cataracts once they're already there, but what about floaters in your eye?
Yeah, floaters are happen naturally as we age, but they don't need to. It's little pieces of the wall of the eye that are coming away. So yes, there's probably a few hundred remedies for floaters. So again, we would look at the whole picture and take the floaters into account, but also everything else about you in order to choose a good remedy to help your body stop creating those floaters.
Okay, another question here. How does the pharmaceutical industry respond to natural wellness remedies?
Uh, they don't really respond at all.
Mm.
Interesting. They have no interest because there's no money to be made. These are all substances from nature, so they cannot be patented. So I think that's why they have no interest in studying them or paying any attention to homeopathy because they cannot patent it, and that's how they make their money. I could be wrong, but that's my feeling about it. So, and then the rest of the medical field just doesn't know it exists, just like a lot of the public. It's this kind of hidden secret that there is a whole system of medicine that's been around for 200 years, that's been used all over the world, that helps people every day, and most people I talk to have never heard of it. It's mind-boggling that that's the case, but that's the case. I guess it sounds too good to be true, and none of them there's no money behind it to promote it and to conduct, in-depth research about it. But that's all been changing slowly, ever so slowly since I started practice 25 years ago. So there's hope that I think homeopathy's time is coming.
There's still a few more questions, so we'll just keep
Sure.
going.
Okay.
Any treatments for an enlarged prostate?
Yes. Yeah. So again, that's a process that happens kind of slowly over time. It can be a normal aging process, but if you have symptoms related to it, then your body is struggling. So looking at all of your symptoms and choosing a remedy that has we like to say an affinity to a certain organ. So if the main thing you're coming with is the liver, I want to choose a remedy that matches you and also is known for having an affinity to that organ. So an affinity to the prostate gland and all of your symptoms, and that should help to greatly either stop the process and sometimes even reverse the process of the enlargement.
Once a remedy is recommended, is it best to get them from someone such as yourself, or do you refer them to somewhere in particular?
I have a pretty good stock because we have over 5,000 remedies. Some of them are common ones, like the ones I taught today. You'd find them at a health food store, but some that I prescribe, I have to hunt for and get from other countries because we don't even have them in Canada. So depending on what your remedy is, I have no problem with you getting it elsewhere, but you might have trouble sometimes getting it elsewhere. And the remedies are inexpensive, so I charge $15 for a remedy, and you can buy boron tubes at the health food store for about $9 or $10. So it's not the remedy cost is minimal, but it's the expertise and training that your homeopath has done and is still doing to be able to choose the best remedy for you, and always learning new remedies. I mean, I don't know all 5,000 really, really well. So I'm always studying and I'm always learning and I'm always taking webinars to be on top of all the information that's out there from other homeopaths and yeah, yeah, it's a constant learning process, which is one of the things I think I really love about it. It's never a boring moment. Every patient is completely different, and I have to not have any biased ideas about, oh, they need this remedy or that remedy. I have to be totally open that they could need any one of these 5,000 remedies, and I should look really hard to see which one matches them the best.
No. Is there a remedy for asthma or COPD?
Yes, I treat lots of asthma, especially in children. And I've treated COPD as well, and the body can respond really beautifully to heal both of those things with the right remedy. Yeah.
Mm. I know you mentioned children a lot. So are all of these remedies You can use them on children, or they're
Yes, I have treated babies at birth because I used to do a little bit of like accompanying midwives and treating mom in labor, and then infants need arnica right away because their head has been smooshed and they've been through a trauma. So giving them arnica instantly at birth, and then I've treated all the way up to my oldest patient was 101 when he passed. So any age, any kind of health concern or condition, any kind of medication or drug that you're taking doesn't matter because I'm working on your body's central energy. And that's the same for everyone. And the remedies either help or they do nothing, which is kind of another hard concept for us to grasp. How can it help or do nothing? But it has to be an energetic match. It's like the right key in the lock. If you put the wrong one in, nothing happens, but the right one opens that door. And the right remedy stimulates healing, but the wrong remedy just does nothing because it doesn't resonate with your body. So it can be frustrating sometimes if we've tried 2 or 3 remedies and you've had a nothing response each time. And so there needs to be a little bit of patience with homeopathy. We always hope that the first remedy is the exact right one, but that's not always the case. But we keep trying, and we always get to a good place with a good remedy and your body. And once this healing starts, it's much easier progressing from there. But sometimes finding that first remedy that gets things started can be a little bit of a challenge. We might have to try 2 or 3.
okay. And if someone wanted to work with you, but they're out of town, how does that work?
Yeah, I do consultations over Zoom, so we would do it just like this. It's about an hour and a half, and then yeah, we work together over the phone and over Zoom for the entire process, and it's not a problem. I can mail remedies when Canada Post is not on strike,
Um,
and that's usually not a problem. So, or you can find a place in your area that has remedies. So, yeah, I treat quite a few people in different provinces and a couple of people in different countries, and there's no problem doing that.
that was pretty much all of the questions. There are a few others, but they're very specific, and it might be best just for them to reach
Yeah, if
out.
anybody wants to reach out to me, yeah, my email address or my phone number, and I'm happy to talk to anybody. I love talking about homeopathy and what I do. And we need to be a good fit. You need to be able to feel comfortable to talk to me and tell me all about your symptoms and your life. So it's nice to talk first and make sure that we're a good fit and that we're gonna work well together. So feel free to call or email with any questions.
Awesome. Derek, any final words you'd like to say?
It's really fascinating. I have a couple of questions. One,
Okay.
is this covered by OHIP at all?
Sadly, no. That would be amazing. I would be so busy, let me tell you. Unfortunately, a lot of extended healthcare plans don't even cover homeopathy. I would say the bulk of my patients are paying out of pocket, which is a big commitment, and I truly appreciate that they have that faith in me to do that. And we were really, as an association of homeopaths, we're really pushing and trying to understand why it is that we're not covered by extended healthcare and trying to change that. So hopefully we'll at least have that kind of coverage. Yeah.
You
Good question.
answered the second question about being covered by group benefits or something, but again, that seems to be very rare.
It is,
And
unfortunately.
just surmising that one of the reasons might be that the industry, as you mentioned, doesn't have a big lobby with the government and doesn't make a lot of money.
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
could be part of the reason.
Sadly,
But
that might be.
yeah, so just to give people a little bit of an idea, because we place tremendous value on health,
Mhm.
and people will spend literally hundreds of dollars to go watch the Blue Jays or
Okay.
something, but really frown if they have to pay like $100 to, get some health benefits.
Yeah.
So what would be sort of, and maybe different for each, but sort of what would be
Sure.
sort of the initial longer session
Yeah.
that you and then
Yeah.
follow-up
Yeah.
sessions?
Good question. Yes. Very good question about my fees. So the initial fee for adults, and that's about an hour and a half visit, is $395. And follow-up visits which I try. They're never more than once a month. And, you know, as you get better, they're less and less often. So it's not that you're coming every week or anything like that. It's as infrequent. Again, less is more in homeopathy. So I want to see you less, not more. And it's $130 for follow-ups. And the only other fee that I have is for remedies outside of a visit. So your remedy is included when you're coming for a visit. The $395 is the total, and the $130 is the total with taxes in. And if you need a new remedy, so for example, you come for your first visit, we do a remedy, I call in 2 weeks and you say nothing happened, there's no change. So I'm going to ask you to just come in and get a new remedy, and it'll be $15 for that new remedy. And then we're going to give it another 2 weeks to see how your body feels. And I call and check in. So you often will need remedies in between, but they're $15. And yeah, those are all the fees.
That's excellent, and to me, very good value for having something that the worst case scenario is nothing happens, there's no side effects,
Exactly.
unlike many of these
Exactly.
prescriptions. And I can personally vouch for how good it is for certain things, as my wife has been to see you a few times and working on some things, and it's been working really well.
Good.
I come from a different, well, let me, before I go to that, one thing that also, again, we're in the finance business, medical expenses you can use as a credit. Now, you need to have a certain amount of
Yeah,
them and
that's
so
right.
on, but you can get some tax savings back on that. So even though it's not covered by OHIP, which I think it should be, or group benefits, which it should be, because it's about healing you and
Hmm.
helping you so that you don't have to be stuck on some prescription for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
But it's not. And so you can still, and really, if you go once and then once a month, like, you're still only going to be literally a little over $1,000 for the year. If you've got a low income, you would still be able to claim some of that, because there's a certain percentage of your net income that gets qualified for medical expenses. So there's a chance to also get some of it back from taxes.
Mhm.
But I studied under a different homeopathic school, I guess, because I was quite disappointed you didn't mention my two favorite natural substances,
What
ice
are
cream
they?
and chocolate. I found they pretty much fix everything that's wrong with me.
Okay. Good. We have
So,
a remedy made from chocolate, actually. It's one of the
oh,
newer remedies. A homeopath decided everybody's eating tons of chocolate. We should have a remedy made out of this. And I have used it. It's a beautiful remedy. Yeah, yeah. I don't think we have one out of ice cream though. We have lots of milk remedies, but not ice cream specifically. So we need to look into that.
great.
Mm.
That's been wonderful. Are there any other questions that have popped up, Chelsea?
Just ones that are asking about specifics like hair loss and acne.
Yep, definitely. Pretty much anything that is a symptom in your body, there is a homeopathic remedy to treat it. But my one caveat, things that have grown that shouldn't be there, sometimes I can't make them go away. Or if tissue is dead, you know, a lot of people have nerve damage and I can't bring it back to life. But really, almost anything. If you have a symptom, then there is a homeopathic remedy that address. There's probably more than one. There's many. That's the only problem in homeopathy. There are many remedies for your symptom. So I need to get really specific, and I really need to know who you are as a person to then choose which one of those remedies you need. So it's sort of the medicine might have, you know, 10 antidepressants, and you try one, you try the next, you try the next. But in homeopathy, if someone comes in with depression, there's at least 400 or 500 remedies that are, and probably more. And so it's just finding the right one. There's no shortage of remedies to help you, and every kind of symptom is described. So it's just a matter of finding the right one for you.
How many factors is there into determining the right remedy? Like,
Ooh,
you,
that's a great question. I look at absolutely everything. And that's why we take about an hour and a half, because everything from how do you sleep? What do you dream about? What foods do you crave? What's your energy like? What was your childhood like? What have you suffered from illness wise in the past? And then with a complaint, so for example, if someone has arthritis, I want to know which joints, what time of day, what kind of pain is it? And that's often something we say something hurts or we have pain, but we don't, there are hundreds of kinds of pain. So understanding your pain, what is it like? What makes it better? What makes it worse? It's almost endless, the angles that I can go down, all in, narrowing down from there's this many remedies for arthritis, but yours is in the large joints, it's in the hips. Okay, we've narrowed it. And it's worse at night when you're sleeping. Okay, we narrow it more. And it's worse on the right side. So it's this narrowing process as I talk to you. And then I have all the hip information, but I can narrow it more by talking about what do you like to do? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are your pet peeves? There's really no top. What are your fears? We absolutely can talk about everything in order, because the more information I have, the more I've narrowed down to the right remedy. So it's not me being nosy, but it's me trying to really, really be as specific as I possibly can. And it's hard for us to wrap our head around that. I mean, I have symptoms like, pain in the second toe at midnight that is better from standing on the joint. Like the symptoms in my books are so specific. And so I want to be that specific with you to try and find that right medicine.
Wow.
Yeah, in conventional medicine, it's putting you into a category. And in homeopathy, that category is kind of mean. You have arthritis, that doesn't really help me. I want to pull you out of that category and see what is your arthritis like. And it's going to be different than every other arthritis symptom that I've seen. So it's really the uniqueness of you. And in conventional medicine, it's getting you into a category and then providing treatment for that category. It's a very different mindset.
Hello, Julie.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I just want to say I can vouch for the questions and how
Great.
beneficial they are, almost like a counseling session sometimes, but it's so real, such a relief to know that you can be so specific and treat us. Just to end, maybe would you like to share recently about your dad?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. My dad,
Just
um,
to end it, yeah.
yeah, had a stroke about 2.5 weeks ago now. And my sister phoned me and I told her to start arnica, the remedy we talked about for injuries, because stroke is a brain injury and arnica is our number one remedy for stroke anyway. But he started on that, went to the hospital, and he at the time he was stumbling. He could not speak at all, and could not remember his name, his birthday, his address, anything like that. And so that was on a Sunday night, and with lots of arnica. And of course, eventually they gave him aspirin at the hospital, and a few days later, a couple of other drugs once they had assessed that it was a stroke. Too much time had passed by the time he got to the hospital. They couldn't treat it right away. So within 3 days, all his speech back, almost all his memory back, no problems with any body functions whatsoever. And the hospital was amazed. And once again, I was amazed. But and we don't know what would have happened without the arnica, but everyone was amazed at what happened, just in general compared to other, stroke. We're on a stroke unit and my dad is dancing around and asking to go home. And that was not the typical behavior on that stroke unit, I have to say. So amazing, amazing help for sure from arnica, and given immediately and given frequently because the intensity of the situation was high. So he had high doses frequently, but it really, really helped. Yeah, we're so happy. He's home and he's fine. Yeah, yeah.
That's fabulous, Julie. We'd like to thank you so much. It's a really intriguing area and one that I hope a lot more people are getting into and interested in and realize the value that it provides. The lack of side effects, really a relatively low cost because you get a therapy session thrown in with it as well every time. So
You do free therapy.
usually $200 an hour. So
exactly. Exactly. People say it feels like therapy, but it's because if I
Yeah.
don't understand you, I'm not going to choose the right remedy. And that's, you know, I guess that's what a therapist is doing, trying to understand you. And I'm trying to do that at a very deep level. So it can feel like that sometimes, but I'm not making any kind of diagnosis or assessment, just understanding.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna let Chelsea close off with a little bit of house cleaning as how she's going to send this out to people. And we really encourage everybody to pass it along, tell the friends to watch it. The recording will be up in a few days.